Alex Pereira revealed he planned to call out Jon Jones for a White House super fight after his 82nd knockout at UFC 320, but changed course out of respect for the passing of Jones's brother, Arthur. Pereira told Joe Rogan, "I talked to my team over it, but we got some news recently. Something's happened, so I want to give my respect to Jon Jones and his whole family, and I want to ask everyone here and everyone at home to take a moment of silence for his brother." The T-Mobile Arena crowd obliged. Jones responded with, "Wow, Alex," his first tweet since his brother's death. Pereira stated, "I had a whole speech prepared tonight. I talked to my team over it, but we got some news," before abandoning his Jon Jones challenge. The Brazilian's prepared call-out would have created one of the biggest super fight announcements in UFC history, especially for the White House venue. "Thanks for congratulating me, but all I want is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight. With all due respect, with all the respect I have for the situation, I was going to ask for Jon Jones at the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about." This confirmed Pereira's intention to immediately pursue heavyweight's biggest name. Arthur Jones, Jon's brother, and former NFL defensive lineman who won a Super Bowl with Baltimore, had passed away suddenly. Pereira's moment of silence departed from typical UFC post-fight theatrics. Instead of aggressive call-outs, he prioritized human decency over self-promotion. The MMA community's response was overwhelmingly positive, with Jones's tweet, "Wow, Alex," serving as his first public communication since the tragedy. Pereira confirmed he'd already cleared concerns with Dana White about moving to heavyweight, indicating behind-the-scenes planning before UFC 320. His heavyweight aspirations aren't spontaneous. They're calculated career moves developing for months. The White House venue adds extraordinary significance. The UFC plans an unprecedented event on the South Lawn in June 2026 for America's 250th anniversary. A Pereira-Jones super fight there would represent one of combat sport's biggest spectacles. Pereira's three-time UFC champion status across two divisions cements his legacy as one of MMA's most dangerous strikers. His middleweight championship, then light heavyweight title capture and reclaim, demonstrates his ability across weight classes. Now he targets heavyweight, where opponents weigh 60 pounds more. Jon Jones proved elite light heavyweights can succeed at heavyweight, moving from 205 to 265 pounds and capturing the title. Pereira declared, "All I want is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight," confirming his ambitions remain unchanged despite postponing the formal call-out. Following his TKO win, Pereira's plan to debut at heavyweight against Jones sparked fierce ducking accusations regarding interim champion Tom Aspinall. The British heavyweight finishes opponents with terrifying efficiency while waiting for his undisputed title shot. Aspinall holds the interim belt with legitimate claims to fight Jones next. However, Jones prefers legacy fights. First Stipe Miocic, now potentially Pereira, rather than defending against the interim champion. By targeting Jones specifically, Pereira bypasses Aspinall in the hierarchy. The accusations carry weight because Aspinall represents a stylistic nightmare. His heavyweight power, exceptional division speed, and improving grappling threatens anyone at 265 pounds. At 31, he's 7 years younger than both Jones and Pereira, physical advantages that accumulate over championship fights. From Pereira's perspective, the Jones fight makes perfect financial and historical sense. Jones is widely considered the GOAT, with dominant light heavyweight title defenses before conquering heavyweight. Defeating Jones would crown Pereira's combat sports career. Critics argue true champions fight the #1 contender regardless of finances or legacy. A Pereira-Jones White House super fight generates mainstream attention and pay-per-view buys that an Aspinall defense might not match. The UFC must balance sporting integrity against business realities. The fighter most likely to face Pereira next is Carlos Ulberg, who scored a dominant win over Dominic Reyes in his first UFC main event. He's the only contender Pereira hasn't fought and beaten yet. Ulberg represents an intriguing light heavyweight with finishing ability and kickboxing credentials. UFC matchmakers face difficult decisions. Does Pereira defend his light heavyweight title against Ulberg while negotiating the heavyweight move? Does he vacate the 205-pound belt immediately? Or does he attempt holding both titles simultaneously? Historical precedent suggests the UFC prefers champions who defend regularly rather than holding divisions hostage. McGregor held the lightweight title without defending while boxing Mayweather, frustrating contenders. The promotion learned from that experience. At light heavyweight, Jamahal Hill remains dangerous despite losing to Pereira previously. Jiří Procházka continues competing at elite levels. Magomed Ankalaev will rebuild toward another title shot despite his UFC 320 knockout loss. The heavyweight division presents different challenges. Beyond Jones and Aspinall, fighters like Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades, and Cyril Gane represent elite competition. If Pereira moves permanently to heavyweight, he'll face the division's gauntlet eventually. Pereira's age, 38 years old, adds urgency. He's competing at peak performance, but athletic decline accelerates quickly for strikers whose game relies on speed and reflexes. The next 12 to 18 months represent his optimal window for legacy-defining victories. Jones's family tragedy creates uncertainty about his fighting timeline. Arthur's death represents profound loss transcending professional obligations. Jones may need extended time to grieve and support his family. This could delay any Pereira super fight significantly. The White House event is June 2026, providing months for Jones to process his loss and determine readiness. However, if Jones needs more time or chooses retirement given his legendary career, Pereira's heavyweight plan requires recalibration. Jones has stated his interest in legacy fights over defending against every contender. A fight against Pereira, a fellow striking specialist with championship pedigree across divisions, fits his preferences perfectly. The stylistic matchup favors Jones on paper. His wrestling, clinch work, and ground control have dominated elite strikers throughout his career. Pereira's takedown defense would face its ultimate test against Jones's suffocating top control. However, Pereira's one-punch knockout power means he's dangerous in every exchange. From a promotional standpoint, the UFC desperately wants this fight. Jones's GOAT status, Pereira's knockout highlights, and the White House venue create perfect marketability that could rival the biggest pay-per-view events in history. Whether Jones's personal situation allows this timeline remains the crucial unknown. Alex Pereira's decision to hold a moment of silence for Jon Jones's brother Arthur demonstrated class beyond his in-cage accomplishments. His confirmed heavyweight ambitions and White House superfight desire creates one of MMA's most anticipated potential matchups, while sparking controversy about bypassing Tom Aspinall. Whether Pereira's heavyweight debut comes against Jones, Aspinall, or another contender, and whether Jones can compete on the proposed timeline will determine the next chapter of combat sport's most exciting story.